So there's a few other notes that we want to discuss about arrays before we send you on your way, and the first thing is to be careful. Now, when we create an array, we define the size of it. So, for example, we define the size of this array to be 5. That means it has index values 0 through 4. The plural of index is indices, so it has indices from 0 to 4. Now, what happens if we try to, let's say, access an element that is outside of that range, that is not from 0 to 4? What if I accidentally go too far, my copy and pasting, and I do something like this? Marks 5 is equal to, I don't know, 61. Now if I try and run our program, you'll see that we get an error. We get this error that says index out of range exception. It means that our index value that we specified is out of range of the allowable index values of that array. So that's obviously not going to work out. So we got to make sure that we stay within bounds. This will also go for when you're trying to display the data or even just trying to use the data in any way. So you must access elements that exist. A few other things. First of all, let's say, for example, we want to calculate the average mark of all the students. So I could do something like this. Let's say I'll create a variable. Let's say double average. Right, and then we'll give it a starting value of 0 for now. Now, if I want to calculate the average of all these marks, I'm going to need to add them all up first. So let's create a second variable called sum. Double sum. Give that a value of 0. And we're just going to add all these up using a very simple addition. Sum is equal to marks at 0. Notice the way that I say that, marks at 0. When I say that, what I'm really saying is look at the 0 index of the marks array. So I want to add marks at 0 to marks at 1, and then marks at 2, marks at 3, and marks at 4. So we now have the sum of all of the values in the array. Now if I want to calculate the average is just the sum divided by the number of items. So in this case, average, need to learn how to type, average is equal to sum divided by, well, how many elements do we have? Well, we have 5 elements. We know this because we look up there. So I could just divide that by 5. And then I could display this on the screen the same as always. So I'm just going to output the average here. Let's say average. I'm just going to get rid of this one right here. And if we were to run our program, we get the value 78.4. Great. Now you know as well as I do, we never want to see magic numbers. This is a magic number. That's a no good magic number, so we want to get rid of that. Well, we could, store the number of elements in a variable some way, but C# already has this mechanism built in. There's a way to actually computationally detect how many elements are in an array. What it really is saying is, what is the size of the array, or the length of the array? To do this, we just need to specify the array's name. So let's say our array is called marks. When I type the dot, you'll see that we get a whole bunch of functionality here. The one that we really care about is the length functionality. What this is going to do is it's going to retrieve the maximum number of elements in this array. In this case, we know that that's 5 because we specified this. So if we run our program again, we should end up with the same value, which is 78.4. So now we know how to create an array, we know how to access an array, we know how to use and manipulate an array, and other things. And what we're going to do in the future, after we've covered another topic or two, we're going to come back and revisit arrays and figure out better ways to do monotonous things like this. This can be very painful when you're trying to do it for, let's say, for example, 100 different people or 1,000 different people in the case of an entire school or something like that. And also something like this as well. This is very slow and it takes a lot of typing. So what we want to do is we want to figure out better ways of handling this, and that is what's going to come up in a few lessons.